All right. Tonight we are joined by Vincent DiLeo, defensive end and linebacker from Delaware Valley. How you doing tonight, Vince?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. And I totally forgot to ask you, do you prefer Vincent or Vince?
Vincent. Vince doesn't matter. My friends and family call me Vinny. I don't mind that either. So
Very nice. Very nice. So let's go ahead and just jump right into this. I mean, my first question always I always like to start at the beginning. So I'm kind of curious, how did football start for you? I mean, what developed that love that you're still chasing it to this day?
Ever since I was like 5, turning 6 from Little League, I was inspired by my dad. Like he always had me outside playing catch. Then I finally started. Like I said, when I was 5, turning 6, I first played baseball. I was like outfielder. I didn't really like it that much. I just like catching. So then I also played football after the baseball season, and ended up liking football more. So I kind of just like dropped baseball after like my first year playing it, and ever since then I already knew that like I wanted to like go to the top of the top and be, the best of the best. And so since I was, I guess you would say 5, I had that goal in mind. Like, everyone's goal is to reach the NFL, and I feel like I'm still in a good enough spot. Mentally, I feel like you have to be mentally prepared to still stay on this journey, and so that's kind of where I'm at now, and and that's why I'm still here, still chasing it, and I believe in myself, believe in my ability, and I'm excited to get on the team with the guys, and show everyone what I can do. So that's kind of where I'm at right now in this life. So.
Absolutely. I mean, it makes perfect sense. So I'm kind of curious, did you always play linebacker and defensive line, or did you start at another position when you first started?
So I always played linebacker and running back like my whole life up until college. Then I thought I was gonna play running back when I got to college, but they needed like a linebacker, so I was just like, all right, I feel like I'm a team player. I feel like that's what I pride myself on. Like, I feel like I can pretty much line up anywhere on the field. So they needed a linebacker when I came in, and I ended up playing like slot corner actually my freshman year because I wasn't that big my freshman year of college. I was like 205, which as far as like a linebacker, I wasn't that big. 205 was still solid. Ended up playing like nickel, and towards the end of the year, they gave me reps at defensive end going into my sophomore year in 2017, and that's kind of where I ended up going into. Like my whole sophomore year, I played defensive end. So I started off at like slot corner, went to defensive end. It was kind of like I said, it was a team move. I feel like that's what I pride myself on again, like being a team player. And so I played defense in the whole season. Then the next season, we had enough defensive ends, but we were missing linebackers now. So now I went back to linebacker, and I finished off my last 2 years at linebacker. And but I initially thought I was going to play running back. So that's kind of where it was. I love running back. That was like my first love. I'm not gonna lie. So
Interesting. That's awesome. I mean, honestly, sounds like the AFL is a perfect fit for you if that's the case.
yeah,
To play a little bit of both ways. But honestly, I wanted to ask you about that. How did the team originally approach you and discuss the move from cornerback to defensive lines? Like that must have been an interesting subject to speak of.
It was kind of like mid. It was kind of towards the end of the season. It probably was our last 2 games, and they kind of knew that we were like I was a freshman. Then they kind of knew that there really wasn't another like position that they wanted me at because they had a linebacker that they liked, and he was already there my freshman year playing. So then like he'd be a senior, and we had a defensive end graduate, and he was a senior. But I knew like I could play defensive end too. So I kind of went to the team and was like, I feel like I can help us here, and they started giving me reps at the end of the season. I ended up getting like a sack like the first game I played DN. And that actually might have been our last game of the season. They put me there. And since then, I feel like that's what gave them the confidence going in. All right, well, we'll throw. They used to call me DiLeo. They called me by my last name. They're like, all right, we'll throw DiLeo at the end. And in my head, I knew that was the only chance I had at like starting because they kind of had their starters returning. And that's kind of how the things go. Like everyone knows who plays football. If you got starters returning, they're most likely going to be starters next year. You know what I mean? So I kind of knew in my head that we had starting defensive ends leaving. I'm like, I can play DN too. So that's kind of how it went. I ended up leading the team in sacks. I forget what I had. It was definitely double digits. But I'm not a big stat guy. Like I said, I'm a team guy. I go out there. I feel like I'm confident in my game. I'm gonna go out and make plays. So the stats gonna speak for itself. So
Definitely. I mean, this seems like a perfect time to queue up your highlights, and we'll go ahead and keep talking while we watch these. But actually, I mean, I remember watching your highlights right after you signed with the team, and it was one of those things where it caught me off guard. I mean, rarely do you see a player play so many different positions on the same highlight film, and you were one of those guys that immediately caught my attention because you went, like you said, from defensive end to linebacker to cornerback, and it seemed like no matter where you were at on the field, you were making plays.
yeah,
And honestly, I mean, that versatility in itself, like I said, makes you not only a perfect AFL player, but made you a perfect fit for the Southwest Kansas Storm. So I'm kind of curious. Obviously, the AFL is a perfect fit for you, but what ultimately drew you to the Storm at the end of the day?
To the Storm, honestly, my agent just hit me up with saying, someone reached out to me about if I had any guys, and I was open to playing because I knew, like, with the football journey, the longer you wait and the longer you don't play, the harder it becomes to ultimately get to where you want to be. And I knew that when I signed with the Orlando Guardians, when they didn't make the merge league, I kind of was like, all right, I gotta play football somewhere, you know what I mean? And my agent brought that to me, and I'm like, I looked into it, and I'm like, yeah, I'm with it, I'm like, I feel like no matter where I go, I'm gonna make plays, I'm gonna make an impact, and I'm gonna open some eyes. That's just how it always been. I mean, I feel like if you're good, doesn't matter if you go D1, D2, D3, if you play in the AFL, CFL, NFL, if you're good, you're gonna make plays. You know what I mean? So I feel like this was an opportunity to show that I'm who I am, and I'm going to make plays, so I feel like wherever I went, I was going to, do what I had to do to make those plays. So ultimately, I was like, I don't really care where I go. It's just like, and I've seen a lot of guys transition from the indoor leagues to outdoor leagues. And I mean, so I'm still on that path to still try to get to that ultimate level with the NFL. And I felt like this was a great opportunity to keep playing with the history, with guys transitioning from this league to outdoor league. So I was like, yeah, I'm with it. I'm gonna go over there and show the guys what I've been working for. I've been training since COVID hit 2020. My pro day got canceled. A lot of stuff was bad 2020 draft class. So since then, I just been like fighting, trying to get on a team. And last year, got hurt in camp out Canada, got let go out there, and then ended up getting my rights claimed by Orlando Guardians. Maybe like a week after I got home, they saw my highlights from camp, and they didn't make the merge. So it's just like I've been on this big journey. So I'm like, man, I still want to play football. Like I didn't let that discourage me. I'm like, I feel like if you're good, you're going to get noticed from anywhere. Just kind of like how it's been happening for me. I went to a small D3 school. No, I didn't get a chance to perform my pro day, but I still had a pro day where other guys from all different divisions were at D1, D2, D3. So that's why I tell a lot of guys coming up, it doesn't really matter where you go. You know what I mean? If you're good, they're going to find you. And, I feel like I'm a living testimony of it right now. So
I would agree. And correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I read somewhere that you were only the second player from your college to be signed by a CFL team right out of school.
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
So, I mean, that right there is perfect example. Like you said, you're a living testament that if you have enough talent, teams will find you no matter where you're at.
Yep, no doubt.
So speaking of which, what was your opportunity like with the Edmonton Elks, and what was it like kind of transitioning to what is realistically a completely different style of football?
I mean, the time it was definitely different out there. But I feel like at the end of the day, it was just football. You know what I mean? I feel like the basic thing, you got to go score, and you got to prevent the guys from scoring. So going out there, I mean, I was in camp, so I mean, it really wasn't nothing different. The most we did, we ran on and off the field. They made us do it a couple of times. As far as like in camp, trying to make sure we was in condition, and I feel like I was fine. It wasn't really that. Ended up pulling a hamstring out there. That's ultimately what happened. But I mean, it was just football. I didn't feel any different. It was weird, the environment when I went out there. I'm not gonna lie, it was different than being in the city. Everyone talked different, different slangs I had to get used to. A lot of people spoke. I want to say, I don't want to say what they spoke, but they spoke some type of Spanish or something. I don't know. Everyone spoke different language out there. I don't know what they speak out. I forget. But I definitely didn't understand some of my teammates, but they also spoke English too out there. So that was kind of different. But other than that, like the environment is it's kind of like the same as like being anywhere else. Like football, it's a couple of little different rules, but I mean, you tackle the guy with the ball, try to stop them from scoring. It's a simple concept, and I feel like it's similar in the arena. I mean, smaller field, but I mean, the guy's trying to score, you got to stop him, like by any means. So,
Yep, I would agree. I mean, I know a lot of people kind of watch the CFL and they get taken aback by the 3 downs or the 12 players, but at the end of the day,
yeah,
football's football.
yeah, and they football.
So we talked about a little briefly there. We talked briefly about your breakout season and your second year, which was your first at defensive line,
Yeah.
and you had a team leading amount of sacks that year. But other than the move to defensive line, because obviously you said you knew you could do that, what was like an instrumental technique or coach during that time that kind of helped you find that success immediately after that move?
To be honest, I actually played defensive line before, so I feel like some of my some of my high school coaches helped just remembering like different techniques. And honestly, I feel like I said, I feel like football is a pretty simple concept. Like you got to stop the guy from scoring, but in between the lines in the trenches, I mean, you got to just beat the guy by any means in front of you. You can't let him block you. So it's kind of like, I know at my school we were taught you beat the hands, you beat the man. So that's kind of what I was focused on. That was a tip I was taught by my defensive line coach Deluche. But and a couple of other guys on the team that were already seniors and juniors that played it before. And what helped me was just staying after practice with those guys, still learning. Like I'm a learner. Like I want to like get better at everything. I don't think I'm the best at anything. I feel like there's always room for improvement. You're never perfect at anything you do. I don't care who you are, how many accolades you had. So I feel like staying extra in film, just watching guys who had success, taking from their moves and kind of trying to add that to my bag, it kind of helped a lot. So yeah.
That makes sense. I'm a firm believer that if you learn from the best, you'll be the best. So, it kind of sounds like one of those scenarios where you had a lot of good people around you teaching a lot of very important techniques, and you kind of package it all into success. So, I mean, I love to hear that. We also kind of breezed over the fact that you didn't really get a chance to have a pro day, which I feel really held you back ultimately in your pursuit of the NFL. You're an unbelievable athlete, and I think had you been able to do that pro day, things might be a little bit different for you. But when that pro day was canceled, I liked that you kind of took the initiative and you did what was called, I think, a mock pro day, if that's not.
I did a mock pro day, yeah.
Yeah, and that was with one of your former teammates, Aaron Nelson, I believe.
No, I didn't do it with him. I did it actually with my trainer. I had a relative that actually does cameras, that works, professionally with cameras, and I did it with my trainer Brandon Bing in Philly. So that's who I currently train with.
Gotcha.
I was able to get that recorded, did the 40, everything they do at the combine, and kind of put that out just as you never know how this will help me now or in the future. This is all I have. I can't just sit home and do nothing and pout and complain about how some people had their pro days and mine's got canceled like 2 days before it was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? So my pro day was supposed to be on a Monday. It got canceled Friday because of COVID. That Friday, like the Friday before. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was upset. Like I was like, wow, like what are the odds? And like a lot of guys had their pro days already. Even though COVID hit, a lot of pro days already happened, and mine was the one that happened after COVID hit. So they shut down all of them. And yeah, and so I had to just think, like I couldn't just, like I said, couldn't sit back. And I believe in myself. So I'm like, man, I don't know how this will help me in the future, or it could help me now. No one could see it, someone could see it. And I just appreciate my trainer because he was actually in the NFL. He actually even sent it out to a lot of NFL teams. It's a long shot, but it obviously didn't work at the time. But just I know I had positive people around me, and all I had to do was stay positive and just keep working. I feel like I'll be where I ultimately need to be and deserve to be. So that's kind of why I'm still on this mission. That's why we're on this call right now. And
Absolutely.
you know.
Well, I personally will say it for you. I know your career is far from over, and I know you've got many great things ahead of you still to this day. Um, but obviously, I want to get your thoughts on the Iron Man style of play. I mean, we've talked about the fact that running back was your first love. Granted, this isn't necessarily a traditional running back position because you will be doing a lot of blocking as a fullback. But what are your thoughts on playing, a running back style position for the first time since high school?
I think it should be interesting. I mean, if you're saying I'm gonna be blocking, I'm with it because I like to get physical on the field. So it should be interesting. I mean, if I can get a run, cool. I mean, I'm not really whatever the team needs. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't really oppose it or like upset about it. I mean, it's just different football. At the end of the day, like I said, is you got to either go score or stop the guys from scoring. And if I gotta block to help the team score, then that's what I'm going to go do.
Definitely. Well, something tells me you'll definitely get your fair share of carries in there. You're the kind of athlete which I'm personally excited to see on offense. So I can't wait for that specific side of your game to come out. I think that's gonna turn some heads in its own right, to be completely honest. But when you study pass rush moves, obviously we've talked a lot about your pass rush ability. When you study pass rush moves, who do you look at in any level for that matter?
I look at Khalil Mack. I feel like he has like a huge bag. Like, I see him do the long arm a lot. He does speed to power, sometimes power to speed, spin, counter moves. And I see him as a constant motor, and I feel like that's important as a pass rusher, a constant motor. Having a second plan, you know what I mean? Not just having one move in your head. If it don't work, then everything's done. Like, no, you have to have another move. So I kind of like to model my like pass rush game after him. I watch him a lot. And that's pretty much it. I'm gonna be honest. I usually watch him. I mean, I watch some of recent Hassan Reddick's highlights. I've seen him when he has, yeah. So those two players, I watch them a lot. I watch the highlights a lot.
I was going to ask you about Reddick because honestly, I mean, if you think about an NFL comparison for you, Hassan Reddick seems like a pretty good one, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, in terms of body type and what you guys do on the field. But, this is a unique situation because, like I said, you've played a bunch of different positions. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, do you study all different aspects of the game? And I know when we spoke, you were very adamant about getting your chances in coverage as well. So, I mean, are you studying specific defensive backs to get coverage techniques and stuff like that as well?
Yeah, I usually watch Jalen Ramsey. I like him in the league. When CJ played for us, he just got signed back. I watched him a lot, like a lot of his highlights after the season, because he could play man zone, those type of guys. Even who else? Even though he's a linebacker, I see him play a lot of man. Cause I feel like I'm not gonna say anybody can play zone, but if you know concepts, you should be able to play zone as a linebacker. But as far as like the guys that play man and zone, I study a lot of DBs, and I train with DBs here in Philly with my trainer. He's actually like a DB specialist, so I kind of learn a lot from the guys I'm around. Like I train around in the summer with Daryl Worley. He's currently on the Ravens. He trains with my trainer. And when those guys aren't there, like I kind of remember what those guys say, and I add it to my game. And that's kind of how I guess you would say I would study that particular position, like as far as like a coverage type of guy. Just being around different defensive backs in the NFL. So that kind of helped me. And I also watch, like I said, I like Jalen Ramsey, probably my favorite corner in the league.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How can you not like watching him play? He's one of the best in the game, to be completely honest. So looking back a little bit, back in your college career as a senior, you got the chance to score your first collegiate touchdown. How did that feel when you ultimately got to cross the goal line with the ball in your hands?
It felt good because of the situation it was in. It was a playoff game, and it kind of iced the game. I think we were only up by a score, or it might have been like an 8-point game or something. It was a close game. We weren't leading by. We weren't blowing the team out. That was kind of like the one that put the nail in the coffin. So I was happy about that, and I wasn't overly excited. I was happy, but I was more so locked in. And I didn't really care. I just wanted to get back out on the field again. Like it was fun. I mean, you look back on it like, oh, like that was. I picked it up on the run. Like that was that was a pretty cool moment. But I really was more so trying to get back out on the field and make another play. Like I didn't really care about that too much, to be honest with you. I mean, it's fun to talk and all that, but yeah.
No, that honestly makes sense because if you look at the end of the play, I'm pretty sure you just tossed the ball to the ref and run to the side.
Yeah. Nah,
There's no celebration. No, it didn't even look like you were that excited, to be honest. So it was kind of interesting to watch that. But obviously, you spoke real briefly there about signing with the Orlando Guardians after your time with the Edmonton Elks. So I'm kind of curious, where did they have you playing? Were you signed as a defensive lineman there as well?
I was signed as a linebacker, but they also was talking about they didn't know where they wanted to use me. That's why they were so excited, and that's why I was kind of like a little like I guess you would say disappointed in a sense because they didn't make the merge. Like wow, like I waited this long. They were excited about me talking to me on the phone. I was like, dang, But I always look forward to the next opportunity. You know what I mean? Because I knew it wasn't done after that. It just was like unfortunate. But they were talking about having me off ball. They didn't really know where they wanted to use me because they watched my film and they watched me in person. I got invited to the XFL Combine back in July in Arlington, and they saw me there, and they were even more excited because they didn't even see me play in person until I went to the workout to the Combine. So yeah, they saw how I moved, and they was like, we really don't know where we want to use you. Like we need pass rushers, but you will also be an upgrade in our coverage department too at linebacker. So and I feel like that's a good problem for a coach to have, and that's why I feel like it's not many guys out there that can confidently go out there and play man, zone, and then line up off the edge and pass rush. And I feel like I'm one of the guys that can do that. So
I would agree. There's a term that I don't use about many players, but a defensive weapon comes to mind.
yeah.
You're just the type of player that you can basically line up anywhere outside of maybe nose tackle. And honestly, I wouldn't even put that past you, to be quite honest. But it's a situation where that provides unbelievable flexibility. So I can imagine, Coach Sheck and Coach Thomas are looking at you and just dreaming up all the different ways that they can harass offenses this upcoming season. So I've taken up about 25 minutes of your time so far. So I'm kind of curious, before we get out of here, do you have anybody you want to shout out or anything you want to say to the fans of the Storm this season?
For the fans of the Storm, just know like you're getting a hard worker, someone that's super humble, and just prepared to come and help the team any way I can and just help us get these wins so we can go get a championship. We got to get a ring. That's the goal. It's not all about me. I'm not coming here self-centered because this is not the end game for me. This is still football, and I'm a competitor. I want to come in and win, and that's the goal. Come here and play my heart out. So.
Absolutely. Anybody you want to shout out before we get out of here?
No, not off the top of my head. Anybody that just watching this, I guess you stay blessed and keep pushing whatever you're doing in life. Not a big motivational guy, but I hope those few words help. But no, that's about it. I appreciate you for having me on.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure. It's always fun to learn more about you. I honestly think you're a really interesting player, and I wish you nothing but success this season with the Storm.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm a game changer.